Thank you so much for, I didn't ask you how to pronounce your name.
Saloni.
Saloni. Love it.
Right.
It's beautiful.
And yours as well. It's Shari.
Cherie.
Shari.
It's a
Okay.
thing. Like my
Yeah.
listeners know, sometimes my uh, guests will flip back from Sherry to Cherie. And, in the past, I'd be like, oh, just let it go. But now I'm like, oh, there's resonance and energy behind your name. And
Yeah.
it just creates a little bit of dissonance inside when somebody mispronounces it. So I just want to
Yes.
make sure. Okay,
Shari.
with
Yeah.
that all figured out. So you're coming to us from India, and I told you about Nithya Shanti. I had another beautiful guest named Jonita who joined us from India. And it's on my bucket list to go to India. It has been for years and years and years. So I know there's so much rich history there. And I believe, and I know many others believe as well, that Jesus visited India and received some wisdom teachings in those mystery years between his 12th year and in
Really?
his 30s until he started his ministry. So I know there's a lot to explore between the Eastern and Western and how we're going to meet up someday and all get on the same page.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but
I'm sure you'll
today,
love India.
oh, I know I will. I know I will. So today, you and I are going to talk about what we're most passionate about. Well, the two things that we're most passionate about: our children and our deep connection to self. And
Yes.
sometimes those boundaries can get a little like, where do I leave off and where does my
Yeah.
relationship as a mother and those children begin? So why don't you just tell us a little bit about how this this raising what is it raising aware children, raising not overthinking the process, coming into yourself and claiming your own, I guess, connection to soul in the context of raising children. How did that sort of become your thing?
So for me, I think it just became when I became a parent. And also when I became a coach. So for my first daughter, I think I was pretty much unconsciously parenting, okay, just managing somehow the motherhood, managing everything, work. I joined my work when she was just 2 months old, and I was
Mm,
like devastated because I got a very good offer. I was working as a gynecologist, and it was a wonderful offer that I was seeking, and they said that you have to join immediately, and I was like, oh no, and my heart would just sink when I would leave
just having
home,
to
you know.
leave that baby.
Yeah, it was really tough, but it was like really just in between. But my boss was lovely, she was lovely, and in between, I would come just to, feed and manage that way. But just managing all this is what I would say, not very conscious and aware about what I'm doing. But it was completely different when my second daughter came, because that was a time actually I was training to become a life coach. And for the first time, I would say I really became aware of, okay, all these things that used to intrigue me, who I am, why I'm here. So I was constantly challenging my thinking, my feelings, okay, how I'm doing, what am I doing, and why I'm doing what I'm doing, why do I
Mhm.
lose my cool. So all these things, I think awareness was really kicking in, like at a very conscious level. So that's where my interest developed, and it was so interesting because I had a toddler and a baby. So when I became coach, I the only thing I was interested was parenting. I really wanted to do it the right way, the best
Yes.
way, be the best mom. And I started really following many teachers, learned about parenting. And it was so interesting that all the clients who were coming to me, they were coming for parenting challenges. And I was like, wow, that was wonderful because this is exactly what I wanted. So I started
Oh,
coaching
we always
parents.
attract. Don't you think we always attract what it is we need to learn? Like
Absolutely.
we think we're going one direction, and then all of a sudden, all these people and resources show up as, I guess, a manifestation of what we need to up level to, or what we need to internalize or integrate.
100%. I think I have always attracted clients, whatever I needed to learn and grow into, just
Mhm.
very naturally. So, first few years were parents and teenagers, and I was evolving with them. That's what I would say. So that's
Yeah,
where, it started.
that's where
Yeah.
the passion, yeah, because you're not prepared when you have a child. I was the same way. I got a degree and I thought I was going to become a psychologist or a family therapist. And then I got, started having children and I realized like I know nothing. and and it and I was like, I don't know about you, but I wanted to do everything right. So I was poring over books and going to trainings and I think I was just missing this whole piece of like it's how I show up in my own being.
Hmm.
It's how I source love for myself. It's me. That's the gift of me is the greatest. It's not what I know, right? Those things are helpful, but don't you get to a point where you're just throwing the books away and going, you know what? This child is challenging everything that I've read here. And I'm not sure that it's this complicated.
Yeah. I think that's what children do. They really challenge you, and they are constantly changing every moment. So whatever you learn from the books is never gonna be handy because they are so in the moment and they're changing and they're
Right.
constantly evolving and bringing you to, oh, this is what you have, and you have to really navigate through your own wisdom. That's what I think parenting really helps us to do.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
100% agree.
Yeah, so I have a married daughter who has two little sweet, a 1 and a 3-year-old, two little sweet boys. I have three college kids, 24, 22, almost 20.
Wow.
And then, as I told you before, I have this 12-year gap. And the universe, God, angels decide to send us these two beautiful souls, very intense souls through separate private adoptions, Eli and Emma. So they are now 8 and almost, well, by the time this airs, they will be 8 and 7. And you know, uh, their personalities and their natural traits and their uh, proclivities have really altered the way. And I've actually, it's interesting. I've talked to other. I thought it was just me. I thought it was just like me comparing them to my older kids, which there probably is some truth to that. But I've talked to other mothers recently who have children in this age range and younger, and they're like, yeah, they're intense. Like they are here to bring the earth to a new way of being. Like I believe that about my other children too, but there's this new intensity, almost this like determination, almost a warrior like knowing that they came into with just a fight about them. And I know that there's all levels of like introversion and extroversion, but I'm just curious what you think of the new children. Because I was learning about auras and things when I was having the older children, and I was learning about crystal children and indigo children and all of those things around the aura. And you have the millennial, and now we're in this like late Gen Z, and I'm going, what are these kids like?
Yeah.
What? I'm curious what you think about that.
So, what I really think about is, first of all, they are so highly aware.
Yeah.
What I see in my elder one, for example, she's such a strong willed child. Since she was, I think, just 5, we could just see that our opinions never mattered really. So, both me and my husband, we had to really, really learn very fast, evolve very, very fast to understand. Okay, it's not that she's gonna follow or she's gonna be a obedient child, and we shouldn't even try because the more we would do, the more she would rebel really. Yeah, that
Right.
was the case. And she was very, very strong, willed and so clear. I mean, I can't even imagine how much I've learned through from her really. So I think I always tell people that I have not learned from my trainings, from my teachers,
Mhm.
mentors, all the books. Not at all, but as I have learned from my both of my daughters, and especially my elder one, because she was a big rebel, and she would just not conform at all. always challenge, always question, why do we have to do this? Oh, you can't tell me this, you can't tell me
Right.
that. So and I could see she is so aware, so
So
mature.
aware.
I mean, she told me things that when she was just 14, 15, and I would look at her face like, oh my god, I
Hmm.
came to know this when I was maybe 35 or
I know.
40.
I know.
How do you even know that? And she's like,
Yeah.
don't you just know it, mom? Don't you
Hmm.
just have it in within
They
you?
they are our
You know it.
masters. Don't you think they're
Yeah.
our masters? And I've been saying this for a
Yeah.
while, and it wasn't clear to me. Even the little ones, they will say things that
Yes.
are just. And I remember one instance. So my daughter, that's now 22, Savannah. Sometimes she listens to the podcast, so she is. Hi, Savannah. I love you. I'm about to say something really cool about you. Um, she was that child who questioned everything. The boys, Noah and Sawyer, they would just kind of like, okay, mom, or they kind of tried to keep the peace a little bit, and they were obedient, right? They
Right.
they just had that temperament, I guess. And and she kind of shook it up. So she would question everything we asked her to do, literally everything. And
Mm.
my son Eli is like this, the one that's 8. And at first I was like, okay, I'm just going to fight her on this, right? You will do this because I say so, but that does not work with these aware. They even, well, I will say this even for the ones who are being obedient. They're still thinking, why do I have to do this? But
Mm.
they do it to keep the peace. Those who are, I guess, more vocal or who want to, teach you will
Yeah.
question out loud, why do I have to do this? So every
Absolutely.
kid is doing that, questioning why. Um, in my religion of origin, it was like obedience was, and most, I would say most systems are like this, like obey the rules, obey, this is how it's always
Yeah.
been done. And obedience is held up as like the highest
Mm.
standard,
Yes,
right?
yes. And
And what
that's so
they're
sad.
showing us is something deeper. What do you think that they're so clear on
Actually,
and what they're showing us?
I just really strongly feel that the consciousness all over the planet is rising very, very fast. And they are
Yes.
showing us very clearly, they're showing us that they are so much ahead of us. Only if we are ready and willing to put our ego aside, that we are, older in age and we look maybe bigger, of course.
Yeah.
But we have to really put that aside that, oh, I am the parent, I am mom because I had 40 years of experiences, so I know better. No, we have to put that aside and really be open and
Sure.
willing to see what they have to offer. And I think they have just absolutely amazing, amazing wisdom to offer from a
Yeah.
very, very young age, if we are open. If we are open.
Right.
Another thing I notice is that obedience is overrated, so overrated.
Mm.
And actually, there was a study done in the US. It's that the children who are very obedient and who follow the rules at home, they are the children who tend to go into, uh, give into peer pressure, drugs, abuse, because they are not able to say no, because they were not
Mm.
allowed to say no at home.
Mhm.
And when I read that study, I was like, wow, I would never want my child to be obedient. Isn't it so? And it makes so much sense that if they are able to say no at home in a safe environment, there's a very good
Mm.
chance they will stand up for themselves and they will be able to say no when they don't want to follow a particular path and don't want to
Yeah,
conform.
that's a great point. Yeah, I started to realize, and going back to Savannah, I started to realize that she was very, very heart based and empathic. And I remember this one time I was just rushing around, rushing around, rushing around. We finally got in the car, and I was getting her in the car, and we had to be at her dance lesson or something like that. And she probably was about, I don't know, 8 or 9. And we were at the stoplight, and I was talking, and she wasn't listening to me. Finally, I was like, "Are you listening to me? What are you doing?" And we were at the stoplight, and she's like, "I'm just watching this leaf. I'm just watching this
Oh.
sun on this leaf." And I was like, it just stopped me in my
Oh.
tracks. I thought,
Mm.
wow, the noticing, the awareness. Now she's like doing her own thing and so beautiful
Mm.
in what she does with yoga and all these other things, still showing me to slow down, still teaching me to be heart-based.
Mm.
And it's so humbling. I mean, you would think I would have gotten it by now. So that was when she was 8 or 9 and she's now 22. But I just have that personality where I'm very task oriented. And I used to
Mm.
be really checklisted. I'm growing out of that. But this beauty around being present,
Yeah.
I have to say that is all children bring that to us, right?
Absolutely. And I think so many of us are like that, isn't it? List oriented. Just we want to be productive. So if my day is not productive, oh my God, we just kind of freak out. I
Mhm.
remember once my younger one, I was watching, I rarely watch TV during the daytime because it's my work time and I don't want to waste any time. So once I was just really in a mood, oh, I'm just going to chill today and no writing, no, no session, nothing. And she's like, what has happened to you? What has really happened to you? I'm like, what? You never watch TV. I mean, how are you so relaxed and chill? I really love it, mom. Do it more often. Like, okay.
Oh.
So yeah, they just notice. They
Mm.
just notice. And the sad part is this. Even though they might not like our rushing and being so productive and always task orientedness, but somehow they get programmed, and slowly they start
Mhm.
imbibing the same things as well.
And they start
Like,
tying their worth into what they're producing and achieving,
yes,
and we are
yes,
praising them mostly for what they are. We're not praising them for noticing the leaf, right?
yeah.
We're like, hurry
What are
up,
you
hurry
doing? Nothing.
up. Yeah, we're praising them for, the dance recitals and the grades and the
Mm,
marks. I'm using very general statement. I'm sure we praise them for other things, but maybe the message they're mostly internalizing is if I perform at this level, if I
mm,
produce these things, then I get it more attention. Or if I do lots of negative things, I get attention because
yes,
we only really
absolutely.
notice when they ramp up. I'm speaking here from my own experience with the two little ones. They're very loud, you know, and it's hard because I am in my 50s and I do have younger children, and it's just what the universe set up. And I love it actually. But there are times where I just want peace. I just want quiet. I just, want to have, um, I guess the stillness piece. And
Mm,
they ramp up when I want that the most, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So so I find myself like yelling to match their energy because they can't hear me. Because if I'm so I need your tip on this, by the way. I really would love some guidance on this. And my husband and I are both in that space where we're just like, hey guys, let's just have a nice meal. Let's just sit in there like, no, we want to blah, blah, blah. And or, we want to sit down and watch a movie and they are just right in our face. Like it's almost like when we relax, they ramp up. And
Mm.
then when we want them to do things, they shut down. Does that make sense? So
It
it's this
does. It
this like
does.
unmatched, our needs wanting to be met, and like we're not speaking the same language to be
Mm.
able to meet them.
Two things are coming to my mind right now, Sherry. First is this, that it's a good opportunity to also start noticing
Mm,
in whether in some way or form are they reflecting. Maybe you're wanting to be still, you're wanting to relax, but is there any inner chaos going on?
mm,
And or maybe a lack going on, lack of peace, I mean, lack of stillness, which is making you desire more stillness outside.
mm.
And what they are doing, they're just mirroring that inner chaos, inner
Totally.
mess
I can
going on.
totally see that.
Yeah. So
Ugh.
that is the
Like
more
it's like you're
common one.
getting mad at yourself, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Like I remember my husband, when he's eating very fast at the dining table, he'll always say, "Oh, please, you both quiet down," because my elder one talks a lot at the meal time, and she's like, he would say, "Please, please, be quiet," because I'm eating too fast because of that, and we just laugh. that why are you eating fast if I'm talking, dad? And this is a very common thing. So it's just such a mirror that because in his mind he's going fast, something is going on within his mind and he is eating fast, but we always love to project or blame something else
Totally.
outside of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is
We
one
laugh.
important thing.
Yeah, we laugh. I want to hear more on what you have to say about that, but we laugh about this
Yeah.
one experience where I was upstairs doing something and I could tell that Emma, our youngest, who's 6, um, who will be 7 when this podcast airs, but she and Jeff were having this altercation downstairs, my husband, and I could hear them both like first they were laughing and then they got intense and then they were arguing about something. And then she's really emotional, Emma. She's really emotional. She can flip into tears like you would not believe, like just for the littlest things. So I could hear her becoming emotional. And I thought, I'm just gonna like eavesdrop a little bit. And all of a sudden he's like yelling at her. He's like, just breathe. And the way he was saying it was like not conducive to mindfulness, stillness,
Mm.
peace, and all of those things. So his, like you said, that inner chaos
Yeah.
is she's just reflecting that and they're just going back and forth with that,
Mm.
right? So we laugh about the yelling just breathe all the time.
Just breathe.
Oh.
Amazing, amazing.
Mm.
Other thing I
Because he wanted
noticed
to
was,
breathe, right? She
yeah,
was reflecting to him that he just needed to breathe, but he projected his not his resistance to his own deep breathing and
to,
inner work by yelling that at her.
yeah. So maybe kind of telling himself to do that, basically.
Yeah, he's talking to
Very
himself. We
much so.
always are, right? We're always
Yeah,
doing that.
always.
We're always
Yeah.
just yelling at ourselves. We're yelling at
Yes, and we're
others.
telling our children to calm down, be quiet. That's what we're doing most of the
Hmm.
times. Yeah.
Right.
So the other thing I noticed when you were sharing that when you really want to relax and they really just want to, kind of be, energetic or chirpy or whatever they want to do. It's also notice. So it's an opportunity again to notice that mind never loves what is.
Mm,
Mind always is wanting something, things to be different. So when they're quiet we go like, oh, why are you not talking today, why everybody's so quiet, what's happening?
mhm.
And we just want them to really talk, be more energetic, bring some fun. And when they're like so much into in our face, we're like, oh god, we really want you to be quiet. And so it's like, I think it's a habit, it's a habit really for all. I see that all the time, that always just kind of resisting what is,
Yes.
in spite of loving what is, accepting what is.
Byron Katie, loving what
Yeah.
is. Are
Yeah,
you familiar with her
absolutely.
work?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I absolutely love her, love her. And
So you teach about having more awareness of your child's soul, like being in a space where you can parent soul to soul, not necessarily, I know more than you, learn from me, right? But
mm,
really talking to their ancient soul whose soul might actually be older than your own if we're looking at linear
yes.
time. So how what are some tips or ways that you have been able to really get into a space where you're parenting with their soul, working with their soul?
So the way I actually work around this, and it really helped me when I started, thinking about spiritual parenting, soul to soul parenting. It occurred to me that still at that time, soul was a word which was more of a concept, because I
Hmm.
have heard of soul. I've been born in a Hindu family, and I remember, since I could remember, maybe I was 3 4 year old, my mom used to read Bhagavad Gita, and the main idea is that you are a soul,
I
you
love
are
the
an
Bhagavad
eternal
Gita. I love
being.
it. Yeah, I've read a lot of that.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I believed into that, I think, since I was a very young child, always listened to that. But I realized when I became a parent that I tried to, do that, that still it was a concept, because soul was something I don't know how does it look like, how does my soul look like, and how my child's soul look like. But what really helped me to really connect with my child at a soul level was to realize about things like, for example, the divine spark they have, the innate wisdom they have. So these words, I started to look for
Mm,
words that would connect me with who I am, with who they are. So I would think, oh, my child has the innate wisdom to be whatever they want to be, as I do. And that would kind of help me back off, help
Yeah,
me not be the mom who is always, advising or instructing or moralizing. And I would just say that I know they are here to blossom because my child is a integral part of this universe. As I believe I have a universe within me, they have the whole universe within them, and they are connected the way I am connected with the source. They are connected even more than me, actually. They're
totally.
younger. So these were the words. They helped me look at them from a place of their inner light, their divine
Hmm.
spark, rather than soul, to be honest. And that way, I think I connected even more to them at a soul level.
And that beautiful, and I love that, that beautiful intelligence. That soul is such a multifaceted word, and it is
Yeah.
conceptual. And people have different
Yes.
constructs around it based on their religions of origin or their culture.
Yeah.
And so, coming back to what did you say, the divine spark, and what was the other one?
Yes. The essence, the
They're on.
what would I say?
I know. I was
Yeah, the
like, it was
innate wisdom. I was
innate
like, what did you
wisdom,
say?
ancient wisdom. Yes, yes, that was it. The ancient wisdom they hold, the innate wisdom,
So,
this
yes, so
intelligence.
innate wisdom. Yes, yes, and the
So,
essence and the wholeness as well. The wholeness
the wholeness, the
and
totality
connected to
of
the source.
connected
Yeah.
source. So, it's kind of how we started this discussion. Like, you can't really step into being a source for others or connecting deeply with their divine spark, intelligence, and innate wisdom unless you're doing that for yourself, right? Unless you've kind of got your own practice with it. Because if you aren't centered and aligned, and it's never going to look perfect, I know parenting has to be messy. So I'm not advocating for perfection because obviously I'm 20 some years into parenting and I'm still like, but I've learned how to start parenting and mothering myself. And
Hmm.
I notice the times where I feel love for myself. I feel acceptance for myself. I am like the best mom ever in those moments for that child. And uh,
Absolutely.
and you teach this, the three S's. What are those three S's? Because that kind of feeds into, being there
Yes.
first for
Yes.
yourself before you can truly connect to someone else.
Yeah, I think that's the essence actually to raise, aware children, conscious children is to first of all raise yourself as a parent. And as you said
Mhm.
beautifully, it begins with self love. And to be honest, for many, many years, I had no idea what self love means even
That's
till I
also
get
a
into,
very loaded concept, right? Just like
yeah,
soul. It's
it
like
is.
self-love.
Yeah,
Okay.
it
Love is
looks like
like
spa and
yeah.
manicure and pedicures. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think we have a very misconstrued idea. A lot of misconceptions around self-love. I feel there are. To be honest, my a lot of my learnings came from my teacher, Robert Holden. He's a psychologist. You
Yeah.
might have heard about him.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I did my happiness coaching course with Robert, and I was deeply influenced by his work. And my understanding of self love actually came from working with him. So he says that self love is all about knowing who you are. It's as simple as that. So when
Mhm.
you go beyond your thoughts, your feelings, the illusion of ego, and embracing it, it's not that we are making ego enemy or anything, but really seeing it,
Yeah.
recognizing it, and then embracing it, embracing our fears, beliefs, all distorted things we have thought about to
Mm.
love, and also the need for validation, need for appreciation from others, being a victim. I think leaving all that and realizing that I'm already loved and supported by this whole universe, that's where self love begins, actually.
Mm.
And I realized for my many, many years, and still I think I'm on that journey where I felt so deeply unloved. And all of my life would be run by this need to get love from all people, who were
Right.
close to me.
Right.
And when I recognized that and started giving myself this love and support that I needed and I was wanting from other people, I became love. That's where the journey actually starts, from being that love you're seeking outside.
Oh,
So
I
that's
love that.
true self love is. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to be obedient to something, be obedient to that, right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
just I feel like that's the highest integrity, is to honor the self and to really, you know, cultivate this practice of always, I guess you could call it radical self compassion,
Yeah.
acknowledging the self. I've started a practice where I carry this little teeny journal around. You know, it's more like a little notepad. And I
Lovely.
just start to notice and appreciate things that I do. Also, I capture little inspirations and little revelations that come. And it's always like I'm always getting the message of, when I do this, when I'm consistent with it, I'm less inclined to berate myself. Um, I'm getting messages that are positive from the universe, guides. I don't know how it works, all the voices that you get in your head when you get still or when you notice. And I thought I should do this for parenting. I should start to do this as a practice for my children. Really notice when they're doing something in their divine essence, right? When they're really playfully being, and just noticing that for them and speaking it out. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Beautiful. Mm.
Um so when we talk about cultivating these feelings for self, and then, being in a space where we can really love what is, whatever, however that presents itself. How have you found now, because you have teenage girls, so that's a whole other level of like, um yeah, I've been there, and it's I'm looking at my daughter that's 7. I'm going, I just cannot even imagine when she's a teenager. I just cannot even, like, she is so sweet and so fun and so emotional and so intense as a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
So when you're sort of bridging over from, and I also have young adults that I'm also learning this, like the bridge from infancy to preschool, and then preschooler, or toddler, and toddler to preschool to school age, and then teenager, and then young adult, and then I have a married daughter, and so I'm like looking at all these bridges I'm hopping over, and that I've like all these transitions. But if I look at the most intense season of my mothering, it has to be teenage uh angst, where
Mm.
they are not getting those messages that we're talking about. Like, they're not getting, oh, love, self-love, self-acceptance, like, mastery of compassion for self. That's like 99% of their day is the opposite of that, I would say.
Yeah.
So because we are closest to them, we often get we're on the receiving end of that angst, that they're trying to figure out, well, you're telling me this, mom, and the world is telling me this. Well, they're screaming a little bit louder, right?
Mm.
So how do you do that for your teenage girls? How have you come into a space where
Wonderful question. So I think really of, now my elder one is 18 and a half, and many years of going through this teenage, but I have realized it that this was the best time for me to cultivate self-acceptance, really,
for
because
yourself, for
for
your own
myself,
self,
for
yeah.
yeah, for my own
Because that
self,
teenage girl just mirrors you and mirrors you, the things
yes.
that are unhealed in your adolescent self.
Absolutely. So when my daughters say that, oh my God, I'm looking the worst in this picture, and I was trying to tell her, no, you're looking beautiful, darling.
Mhm,
And I realized that how exactly I felt as a teenager, because I remember I used to feel really ugly as well. So
mhm,
it was more about not trying to fix her, not trying to tell her what to do, rather really fully believing that she has the divine essence and the innate intelligence to go through this period, which is, of course,
mhm,
hormonal and so much influenced by
mhm,
society and peer pressure and everything. But she will figure out her way, because I thought that, okay, what has been my journey, and I was not even living in a world where we were internet connected or there were so
mhm.
many books or anything. But I came into spirituality, I came into this place where I started loving myself.
Yeah.
And now, at this age, if I'm learning to accept myself, how can I even expect my 15-year-old to, oh, accept yourself just the way you are? It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
you look like. So it made me realize what I was not accepting was my own self, because somewhere I thought I need to do something
Mhm.
better. I need to mother better so my daughter wouldn't feel this way. But it was not about me. So I think that was the
Yeah.
biggest, journey, spiritual journey, to understand whatever my daughter is doing, first of all, it's not about me.
It's not
It has
about you.
nothing to do with me. Rather, it's a mirror. It's showing me something unhealed within me. And if I can work on myself, that is the best gift I can give to my daughter.
Mm.
That's what I've realized. So a lot of time, like moms, and self-acceptance is a huge thing. Like a lot of moms come to me and say, oh, how can I accept myself? Because again, we have a very distorted idea of self-acceptance. They would say, I'm very impatient, Saloni, and if I accept myself, how would I ever improve and evolve? I want to be a patient person. So self-acceptance, I tell them, is about knowing you are already patient. It's
Mhm.
not about that, oh, you accept that impatient self which was yelling at your child maybe a few minutes ago. It's about coming back to your center and realizing when I'm in my center, I'm already patient. And it's
Mm.
okay. I lost my cool. Yes, I'm going to lose my cool. I'm a human being.
Mhm.
When I see somebody's talking back or raising voice or totally disrespecting me, I will lose my cool. And the way we were parented was different. I mean, I came from a very traditional, conventional Indian parenting where we were so obedient. I would just do everything my mom or dad would ask me to do. So it's a huge jump for me to
Yeah.
know nothing I would say would be followed through. And my daughter even tells me, like, oh, you can't tell me that, mom.
Right.
Literally on my face. And I was like, you're right, honey. I can't tell you. I mean, since she was 10, she told me, no, you can't tell me that. And I realized that, yeah, I need to learn. I need to, and she's only showing me a way to evolve, to not be
Mhm.
so attached with, okay, oh, no, no, because I know better, you have to do what I say.
Right.
No, rather let her find her own way. And
I
I
would, I
realized
guess,
that they
like,
did.
I have to say, instilling trust in your child by saying, I trust that your divine spark and your ancient wisdom will carry you on this journey. I trust your heart. I trust who you are. Um, I think sometimes children pick up the energy of we're afraid for them, we're worried.
Yes.
And so they're like, that instills more worry in them because if mom can't trust me and mom doesn't believe in me or mom doesn't believe in my ability to XYZ, then how can I, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
I
I just,
remember something I would like to share. When
uh-huh.
my daughter was 14, she asked me, my elder one, that, Mom, if I'm invited to a party, a late night party, and maybe drugs and alcohol is going on there, would you allow me to go? And I was like, of course, why not? I would just tell you, I trust you completely. I
Mm.
trust your wisdom, you are intelligent, and you would know exactly what to do. And she was like, oh shit, now I can't do anything.
I
Why
can't
did
do
you say
anything to
that?
like convince her that I'm going to
Break your
rebel.
trust.
That's so powerful what you just said because I think we were all raised in fear around being, well, in my, I was born and raised Mormon, you were born and raised Hindu. That's just sometimes that can be very high demand and instill in you that you can't trust yourself, right? Like, don't go to those places, you'll fall, you're weak by nature, you're whatever. And like temptation, like you're not strong enough. And maybe there's a little truth to that, but by and large, like, what if we sent the message from very early in some of these more spiritual and religious communities that you are whole? Like you said,
Yes.
you have this when you come into center and you teach a child how to align, they already have every attribute. They already have all the codes of divinity and the right action needed, right? They know. And so I just am all about like with conscious parenting, we have to be really aware of the messages that they're getting from very well-meaning sources, teachers at church, teachers at school, mentors in sports and whatever that are maybe sending this subversive sort of programming around like you're not enough, you can't trust yourself, you're at the core, you're not good enough, or you're evil, or whatever. So you better do these things because you get in the wrong situation and you're toast. You're you're wasted if you get in the wrong situation. But you're seeing the
Yeah,
opposite with conscious parenting. It's all about allowing them to be their own
absolutely.
guide.
Yeah. And I think even though we fear about all these messages, but I tell parents that, and it's been proven by psychology and so many surveys that 70 to 80% influence on a child, especially in young age and even in preteen and teenage as well, is by of the parents. So as a conscious parent, as a parent who is aware, who wants to, raise aware children, the only thing we can do is connect with our own wholeness and lead by example.
Mhm.
They are watching us. Even if they're teenagers and they're busy, in their gadgets and always in their room, the truth is they're still
They're still
watching us.
watching it.
There's a
There was
there's
a
a lot of
another quote
opportunities.
that I love. Not only are they listening to what we say, but they're picking up all the energy and they're picking up the body language. They're very astute that way. They're noticing with that.
Yeah.
So there was a quote, children are watching the show, not listening to the lecture.
Oh
And
yes.
so when we aren't aligned and we're trying to teach a concept, they're not going to get it. They're not going to internalize it. They're watching the show, like grab the popcorn. I'm just going to watch this play out with mom and dad. They're not listening, right? They're really, it's less about what we say
Yeah.
and more about the energy we come in with. They're swimming in it actually. And it's a grand invitation if you're a parent to just come back into your own integrity and really look at how you're showing up. Because we used to call our oldest son Noah the family radar because he would like pick the barometer. You know, he's the family
Okay.
barometer, not just the radar, but he would manifest, everything that we were working through as a family. He would be showing it in his body and the way that he moved. And so we're like, oh, here's thanks, Noah. you know. Oh, wow. Well, this
So
has
nice.
been
Yeah.
so fun. I want you to share with our listeners how they can find you online and what you're offering.
Sure. So they can find me on salonising.com or my Instagram handle, Saloni Life Coach, or on Facebook as well by the name Dr. Saloni Singh. And I offer one to one coaching for parents, for individuals to really helping them connect with themselves and the source. And I also hold self mastery inner soul circles. This is a group coaching program I hold for people. It's an online program where I take them through a journey to help them connect again with their own wholeness.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Saloni. This was wonderful.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed having conversation with you. Thank you.